As part of the ongoing Uvalde 365 series, tonight ABC News will present a 30-minute special delving into the cascading series of law enforcement and other failures at Robb Elementary School last May 24th. The special will stream live on KVIA.com and on ABC News Live on Hulu tonight at 6:30. Joining me now to talk about the special, Crisis of Command, is ABC News' John Quinones. John, you've been following this story since that day back in May when the shooting happened. Over 8 months later, what are some of the most troubling failures from that day?
Well, you will see from the special tonight that among the failures was the fact that the police chief for the school district down there, who was the man in charge, really, for more than an hour, he wrongly believed and wrongly assumed that the shooter had barricaded himself in one of the classrooms and was not an active shooter. Well, we know now that he really was an active shooter all along. But by saying that he had been barricaded meant that there was no urgency in breaching through that door in that classroom and taking the shooter out. Precious time that was wasted. The other failure that we've learned is that police never set up a command post or a command center where the various law enforcement agencies, and there were many who responded that day, nowhere for them to coordinate their actions as they do in other mass shootings. That meant that no agency knew what other agencies were doing. No one really knew who was in charge. And the result was chaotic, really unorganized, and in the end, a catastrophe.
John, what new things have you learned from the audio and video ABC News has obtained since the shooting? There was 10-year-old Chloe Torres' 911 calls from inside the classroom.
Yeah. Yes, from a little girl, particularly by the name of Chloe Torres, 10 years old. She survived the shooting, but she was calling several times to police, pleading for them to come to the rescue. And it's really heartbreaking to listen to her. She was so brave and so smart. She even put blood on her body from some of the other victims to appear like she had been wounded. She said she learned this from her father, Ruben Torres, who was a Marine. The recordings also show us that the police spent a lot of time you might remember, looking for keys to the classroom. Well, it turns out they never really needed keys to get inside the door. We also learned that the shooter had time to reload his rifle. Again, another opportunity to bust through that door and take the shooter down. These were all, opportunities that were just squandered.
And what do we know at this point about who might be held responsible and what happens next from here? We did learn on Friday that the Texas Department of Public Safety doesn't plan to fire any more officers that were involved in this.
We have an exclusive interview tonight from the head of the Texas Department of Public Safety, Steve McCraw, and he will tell us that there was malfeasance committed by at least some of the officers. That means that they failed to do what they were obligated to do as police officers. Investigators are looking at the decisions made by the top law enforcement officials on the scene that day in those crucial initial minutes. And now we're being told also from the district attorney in Uvalde that the case will very likely go to a grand jury and that top law enforcement leaders from the school district, from the city of Uvalde and the county of Uvalde could well face criminal charges.
Uvalde 365, Crisis of Command. It streams live tonight at 6:30 on KVIA.com and on ABC News Live on Hulu. John Quinones, as always, a pleasure. Thank you, sir.